All right. Well, I do want to move to some of the discussions on Capitol Hill. Because of your decision, Leader Schumer, last week to clear the way to pass a Republican funding bill and avoid a government shutdown, you have faced calls from outside groups, even members of your own party, to step aside as minority leader. When asked about your future to town hall, Senator Michael Bennet said, quote, "It's important for people to know when it's time to go." Leader Schumer, are you feeling pressure to step down?
Look, I'm not stepping down. And let me just say this, Kristen. I knew when I cast my vote against against the government shutdown that there'd be a lot of controversy, and there was. But let me tell you and your audience why I did it, why I felt it was so important. The CR was certainly bad, you know, the continuing resolution, but a shutdown would be 15 or 20 times worse. Under a shutdown, the executive branch has sole power to determine what is, quote, essential. And they can determine without any court supervision. The courts have ruled it's solely up to the executive what to shut down. With Musk and Doge and Trump and this guy Vogt, V-O-G-H-T, I think is how you spell his name, is the head of OMB, they would eviscerate the federal government. On day 2, they could say, oh, SNAP, feeding hungry children, not essential. On day 4, mass transit, all transit, aid to the states, not essential. We're cutting it. On day 6, Medicaid, we'll cut that by 20, 30, 50, 80%. We'll go after Social Security. We'll go after the veterans. Their goal is to just eviscerate the federal government so they can give more taxes, more tax cuts to their billionaire class over there. And so it would be devastating. And here's what makes, one more thing, here's what makes it worse. There's no off-ramp. Who determines how long the shutdown would last? Only those evil people at the top of the executive branch in the Trump administration. And one senator, Republican, told a Democratic senator, colleague of mine, and this guy is close, this Republican senator is close to the Doge Musk people, they would keep the government shut down for 6 months, 9 months, a year, till everyone was furloughed and gone and quit, and there'd be no way to stop it. So I thought that would be so devastating to the Republic and anger so many people that we actually went forward with a shutdown, which have even worse consequences than the CR. It was a vote of principle. You know, sometimes when you're a leader, you have to do things to avoid a real danger that might come down the curve. And I did it out of pure conviction as to what a leader should do and what the right thing for America and my party was.
And to that point, to that point, I mean, some Democrats are saying they want leadership to show more fight in this moment. They think that's what's required. You were, of course, instrumental in urging President Biden to drop out of the 2024 race when he himself wasn't convinced. I've had conversations with Democrats, Leader Schumer, who say this moment feels very similar. Are you making the same mistake that President Biden did?
No, absolutely not. I did this out of conviction. And look, in my caucus, we have a disagreement as to, you know, some people voted one way, some people voted the other. But we've all agreed to respect each other because each side saw why the other side felt so strongly about it. And our caucus is united in fighting Donald Trump every step of the way. Our goal, our plan, which we're united on, is to make Donald Trump the quickest lame duck in modern history by showing how bad his policies are. He represents the oligarchs, as I said. He's hurting average people in every way. And we are, through oversight hearings, we're exposing what he's doing. Through the courts, which I mentioned, we've had some real success in. Through legislation, and through organizing in all the districts throughout the country. So that I believe that because the Republicans are already nervous, you know, a lot of them said don't hold town hall meetings. I believe by 2026, the Republicans in the House and Senate will feel like they're rats on a sinking ship because we have so gone after Trump and all the horrible things he's doing, and they will know it, see it, hate it, and act on it.
Let me ask you about something former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said on Tuesday about your decision. She said, quote, "I myself don't give away anything for nothing, and I think that's what happened the other day." Do you acknowledge that Democrats didn't get anything in this fight, Leader Schumer?
Well, what we got at the end of the day, is avoiding the horror of a shutdown. There was no leverage point that we could have asked for things. They just would have said no, and because they controlled, let's not forget, they control the House and Senate, they could force a vote, yes or no, on the CR without any additions. Patty Murray tried very hard to get them to add things, and they said no. And because of the rules of the Senate, they could force a vote, yes or no. It was a difficult vote. We talked about it in caucus a lot, and I voted because I thought, you know, I say to people, when you're on that political mountain, the higher up you climb, the more fiercely the winds blow. And the only way you stop being blown off the mountain is your internal gyroscope. My internal gyroscope said, regardless of the fact that some people would not like it, which I knew, that I had to do the right thing for the country and for our party.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.